First of all, thank you everyone for coming. Greenville isn't exactly the easiest place to get to, depending on where you've come from. But we've just had an amazing live feed. And now I know where to look, which is also helpful. And this panel is really individuals from industry. And what I would love to do is, starting from John and working our way down, if everyone can just introduce yourself to the audience, but also what's exciting you about the news we've heard this morning. So.
Again, John, nice to be with you again. From my perspective, what's exciting about International Manufacturing X is the prospect of the capabilities, the ideas that we have proven out and that are beginning to be adopted at scale in manufacturing operations, to see those brought at scale to a global environment and across global value chains. We're obviously just seeing the very beginnings of these kinds of value creation opportunities, but the opportunity for us is enormous, and I think it's vital for us as a strong, historic manufacturing region to excel, to sort of have the vision to skate to where the puck is going and ensure that as a nation, we're preparing ourselves to play a lead role in understanding how we can drive manufacturing forward as a core and vital capability here in the U.S. So from my perspective, it's gratifying in many ways to see this come to fruition, at least as the beginning of a long and fruitful journey for the U.S.
Thanks, John, and good morning. I'm Jeff Kent from Procter & Gamble. I'm responsible for our smart platforms activities and our product supply organization. What's exciting about this announcement of Manufacturing X and the collaboration between the United States and Germany is P&G is an international company with global operations, over 140 plants. I have Innovation Center in Kronberg, Germany, ironically, as well as one in Cincinnati. And the role of my job is to be able to bring AI, machine learning, Industry 4.0, 5.0 intelligence to life in a practical way across all of our manufacturing sites globally. So it's not even my own internal sites that's important, it's the suppliers. It could be the OEMs of our key equipment, it could be the raw impact material suppliers. I need a framework to point them all to take this journey. So as I help my plants be successful in this with the engineering of these key systems, I also need to be able to point to my suppliers and my OEMs this kind of framework that's consistent and is practical for them to take this journey. So there's a lot of heavy lifting, as you all know, whether you're an individual, small to mid-sized company, or you're a large multinational. This kind of democratizes the discussion, it democratizes the standards, it democratizes the framework and approach so that each of us doesn't have to do this alone. So it's exciting. I also love the fact that we have the participation of Microsoft and Siemens and Rockwell and many other companies that will need to be able to serve this industry very well as this Manufacturing X and SESME become very, very clear what this really means. So very exciting to get the kind of help that I need to make even more compelling progress. So thanks, John.
Hi, my name is Erich Barnstedt. I'm the Chief Architect for Standards, Consortia, and Industrial IoT at Microsoft, and I represent Microsoft in the Platform Industrie 4.0 in Germany, and in SESME and many other organizations, in fact. And for me, this is a pivotal moment because it's, the accumulation of years of work together. We started this journey, John, I think in 2016, 7 years ago. Initially, we just looked at sustainable manufacturing, trying to get a manufacturing process more sustainable, starting to do energy collection, and also, working on new technologies to do product carbon footprint reporting and so on. Some of this is now actually live on stage at the SESME booth. So for me, it's really, a great point in history, really, to see how it all comes together, and finally we can spread the word and make more use of it on a global scale.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Zasada, and I work for General Mills. I lead our digitization efforts across manufacturing and have the privilege to lead unlocking of data across our manufacturing systems. And I'm delighted to be here this morning to celebrate this important milestone. Our manufacturing environment is increasingly complex in a post-COVID environment. And simply we are increasingly influenced by factors that are outside of the four walls of our manufacturing sites. We want the ability to connect and access this data, but we don't have it today. And so announcements like this drive an important moment of transforming our art of manufacturing into more of a science, because we have access to more information than what we do today. And it's a change, it's a transformation that we don't have the ability, as Jeff had highlighted, to lead on our own. This requires a great collaboration across countries, across industry, to drive this really impactful change.
Great. Thank you. Good morning. My name is Habib Quazi. I head up innovation and business transformation at Exxon Mobil for the refining and petrochemical businesses. That's about 60 plants serving about 170 countries around the world. Fun fact, every single day we generate 5 billion new data points in the portfolio that we have. So taking advantage of that data at scale is very interesting and exciting and an opportunity for Exxon Mobil. What's exciting me about being here today is I think large corporations, like Bob mentioned earlier, Fortune 500s have the human capital and the dollars to go after these types of data-driven transformation initiatives at scale, but vast majority of the companies around the world don't. So to systematize it and to make it simple, standard, easier to understand so you can see the vision to execution and value capture is really important. Because absent that, there's always the risk that you get stuck in pilot purgatory or random acts of digital, getting a false sense of security that you're doing things to stay competitive when you might be falling behind relative to the ones who are really doing it well. So this is really important, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Hi, my name is Sudarsan Rachuri. I'm in Department of Energy, and I manage SESMI, work with John very closely from DOE side, and also the SIMANI, which is the cybersecurity for manufacturing innovation. My background, I worked in standards for a long time. I'm happy to see standards being talked about a lot. I worked at NIST before coming to DOE. So in terms of what is exciting, I put three things. One is, if we can get it right, this platform technology for smart manufacturing, we can create what has been created in the internet boom, where people can develop apps based on the platform. So the manufacturing will have the same type of open innovation ecosystem that anybody can develop different type of apps for manufacturing. And I think that's IMX is an important thing in that. Make data availability. Without data, we cannot do that type of thing. And of course, convergence of different technologies that is happening, including AI, computing, convergence sensors. The second thing is, innovation happens only at the intersection of disciplines. And manufacturing is very interdisciplinary. So this type of creating new curriculum, new ideas in manufacturing is very exciting. So I was recently in another university. A lot of students are interested in getting into this idea of, so that's one of the things we need to make sure the skills development, education, workforce development that we are doing, we have to have a different way of looking at engineering education. It's not just mechanical, chemical, and ask them to take some AI courses, but completely relook at how manufacturing, engineering education is being done. So I think these are the three exciting things that is happening, not only in US, I see across the world.
Thank you. I've taken a different approach to this panel, and I keep backing up, that way everyone here can see. But the question I have, and Lisa, we're going to start with you, then go to Jeff, then go to Habib, just that we work the sequence. How do you see this announcement changing the way that your organization uses data from both IT and OT?
It's a great question. And I think that inserting and having access to this incredible pool and ecosystem of data that we simply don't have access today is only going to accelerate this IT-OT convergence that we are all experiencing today. and reinforce the need for new capabilities to share this data, to organize this data and contextualize it faster so that we can continue to optimize systems not only within our sites, but across the entire value chain. And the really exciting part of that, and I would further add that that reinforces the importance of organizations like SASME that are developing these standard design principles across the entire industry that we can use to share this data more fluidly. The exciting part about this is that it opens up opportunities that we don't even have visibility to, and in some cases can't even imagine today across the ecosystem.
So to add what Lisa had to say is, we really still need a common framework for the discussion. We still have, in our own companies, different language, different expectation about IT, and different expectations from OT. So with this Manufacturing X, we can get the definitions right, we can get the framework right, we can get the expectations right, we can actually lead a better conversation within our own companies and then among companies as we try to free up the data and make that data contextualized and available. I still think this IT-OT convergence is still not where it needs to be, and initiatives like these can help both the vendors and suppliers work together better, and thus work together internal to our companies.
Yeah, I'll just build on Lisa and Jeff's comments. You know, anything you can do to simplify, systematize, demystify data-driven transformation is helpful, because people resist not because they want to resist, but people hesitate because they don't know. So anything we can do to make it turnkey, demonstrate value, show the power and what it means for them in terms of competitiveness, in terms of a more exciting place to work, I think will just bring people with us. So it's a very exciting initiative, and across the globe, I think makes a lot of sense. I was struck by the countries that have signed up so far. They're all mature economies, which means some of this transformation has to happen on a brownfield basis, not a greenfield basis. And that's really important, because in the emerging economies, people put in the best leapfrog, and the Germanys and the US's and the other countries listed, they need to, remediate and catch up and leapfrog. So I think that's a very important consideration. Limited action or slower action can make manufacturing very uncompetitive in a world where we can't afford to be uncompetitive.
Yeah, I want to build off that answer, because first of all, I love your comment earlier about random acts of digital, but also your comment just now of hesitance because they don't know. In my role, I hear a lot from clients about their desires, their ambitions. But at the same time, bureaucracy can get in the way. What would you say to those companies in terms of how to overcome red tape and make something work?
We work with very intelligent people around the world. So when someone creates bureaucracy or throws sand in the gears or slows things down, it's not because they want to be difficult, but it's because there's a concern on an issue that they need to, get a handle on. So usually, if you look at senior executives in any business, they're a product of their journey, and their journey didn't involve smart manufacturing. Their journey involved pen and paper, executing really well and being customer-centric and all of that. And now you bring this new requirement on them, and they don't know. It's foreign to them. It's complicated. They're not sure if it will work, so they hesitate. So, that bureaucracy might be risk management on their part. So anything we can do to help them get comfortable with the opportunity, by doing all the things we're talking about, doing lighthousing, demonstrating value at places where these have been worked, hearing from practitioners who understand and believe will remove that bureaucracy, which could be more than bureaucracy. It's just a hesitation on their part.
Something I'd like to add to that. I think bureaucracy usually comes when people are confused, or they sense risk that they're not willing to make a decision or make an investment. So, what I see from this and see inside of P&G is if we've been clear on what are the value proposition and how this changes the speed to value or speed to scale adoption. And I think much of the bureaucracy goes away. But we as a group, as an entire community, have to be clear on the value and then be clear how approaches like this generate confidence on speed to value on scale adoption. Because just like Erich said, I think we're well beyond the POCs or the pilots. In fact, none of my senior leadership really wants to hear that word. In fact, it's a bad word, pilot or POC. What they want to hear is, how is this driving scale adoption? So I think with this Manufacturing X initiative, it can make it clear where the value is and make it clear what speed to value with confidence is going to be internal and external to our P&G ecosystem.
Yeah, I just have to make the point here about innovation and pilots. Me personally, the term purgatory is a negative one when it really reflects giving people unbridled rights to innovation. And building off of that, I want to start with you, Erich, because one thing we've heard this morning is it's not just a large company, OEM, or brand owner initiative. We're getting into the mid-market. What do you see as some of those opportunities and ecosystems for the value chains that companies either participate in or should participate in?
Yeah, so I really think that the time where, Industry 4.0 was only for big manufacturers is really over. Now it's also due to the work that SESME is doing, really democratized into also enabling small to medium-sized businesses. And really the message for me is, get started now. The technology is available, as SESME is clearly demonstrating. Technologies like OPCOA and the acid admin shell have been around for many, many years, tried and tested. I've done plenty of POCs to prove it out, and we're really beyond POC stage now. And really, SESME is here to help. If you have questions, reach out to them. They're, with their smart manufacturing profiles, they really revolutionized the manufacturing industry in the US, and I wish us all Godspeed on that journey.
And if I could add, while it isn't a conversation any longer just for large companies, I do think that large companies have a unique role to play in the midst of the discussion. First off, we have an important role of leadership to help to advance this conversation about what standards need to look like moving forward so that we can realize the benefit that we desire. Secondly, we have access to technical resources and expertise that we all know are in very limited supply across the industry. And so bringing those resources to bear for large and small companies in the midst of our ecosystem is really important. And then thirdly, I think we have a unique view around some of the benefit areas and opportunities where both small and medium companies in our ecosystem can also benefit from some of these initiatives when we partner together. And so I think those are some areas where, as large companies, we can and need to continue to lead.
Yeah. I think that is the answer in terms, especially your comment about large company leadership and orchestrating those ecosystems and value chains. But I have to come to the other side of the coin here in terms of risk of this. And Sudarsan, you and I have discussed this a few times, where occasionally excitement that comes from an initiative can overshadow different gaps and risks in an organization. What have you seen in some of the early lessons learned, and what should organizations be prepared for?
Instead of more than a risk, I think we have to look at the uncertainty in how they are, what problem they are trying to solve. They end up doing a wrong problem and then say that it failed. So we have to look at what are the exemplar use cases where you can actually show what is before and after smart manufacturing, what have you actually achieved in terms of system level optimization. So that way you can understand what technologies are required, how are you interoperating them, what kind of other abilities that you need, like controllability, reliability, safety, cybersecurity. So those are the issues, I think, in terms of the value proposition of applying these technologies. So they end up doing some wrong problem and they think it's not working for them. So that's the first thing. Identify the right problem, and then see what you want to achieve from that. I think that's secondly, in terms of uncertainty, is the technology is moving very fast. The emerging technologies are happening. So there are going to be a lot of disruption in manufacturing. You have to be aware of that. What kind of disruption is going to happen in manufacturing technologies? So that is the second biggest, I think, uncertainty for them. And third is the global competition. We are not living in vacuum. So how do you learn from others? What are your competitive advantage, and how do you build on that? So I think those are the three things that comes to bear. And we discussed this in terms of how do you look at it more like a uncertainty in your whole process than purely risk.
And it's always fun to run through the forest at night to find the solution blindfolded. Okay, we have time for one more question, and John, I think since you and I started discussing this panel, I've been waiting to put you on the spot with this question. And this is for the sake of discussion, but if you were to leave SESME and go and land in a manufacturer, what is it that you would change, or what would you want to see in an ideal setup for that organization to capitalize on international manufacturing excellence?
It's a great question. It's a tough question to sort of ponder and respond to in a thoughtful way. But I do think that fundamentally, we talked about the maturity of this space. We talked about the gap between small and medium manufacturers and the large enterprises. If I were in a large manufacturing setting, I would absolutely rally my people to become absolutely the most demanding, thoughtfully and carefully and in an appropriate way, become the most demanding learner of this ecosystem across the board. In other words, I would find the vendors, the machine builders, the consultants, the technology providers out there, the suppliers out there that are willing to partner with me to work together on a more trust-centered basis to solve problems together. This is about, from my perspective, building a more collaborative ecosystem, set of partners to solve the problems that I, as a manufacturing organization, might struggle to solve myself. And so I guess I'll summarize at that. We're a couple minutes over time, but just to say that I think we, as Americans particularly, have had a kind of individualist mentality by DNA. We came by that honestly. Our corporations reflect that as well. We're going to go it alone, and we're going to do it with whatever baling twine and duct tape we have around. I think given the conversation we've had today, given the nature of the sort of international movement to exchange data, to create more value, to become more competitive, we can collaborate much more effectively. So if I put myself on that side of the fence, I'd want to lead by example and drive the kind of collaboration that I think is going to drive our own individual business models and capabilities forward, but do so with an ecosystem, with a community.
Great, thank you. And everyone, thank you to our panelists. And I believe, Jeff, the stage is back to yours.
You're welcome.